elections, like I said earlier on, will be probably the most important in our history. We're at a very, very critical point. I think even more than we've ever been. So it's very important that everyone comes out to vote. I sincerely hope that we have a greater voter turnout this time around than in the past.
The problem, of course, Falz, is the level of poverty, particularly amongst young people, and the fact that many of them, millions in fact, are unemployed. What about the temptation of selling their PVCs to politicians for a few thousand naira? I mean, people have often decided that the immediate gratification of the money is better than voting for someone who has made glowing electoral promises that they may never fulfill. Is it likely to be more of the same this time, or do you reckon it'll be different?
I think it's clear that these criminal politicians have consistently weaponized poverty against us. They've consistently used poverty as a tool to keep the people down, and that's what every single time, that's what they continue to exploit. That's what's coming back to haunt us, as we're seeing with all the security challenges that we're having all over the country. It's still the poverty and a lack of education, if you may, of these people predominantly in the Northeast. That's what's making them, to stand up and commit all these gruesome crimes. And at the end of the day, if they continue to weaponize this poverty, there will always be people like that, that will turn up on those days and will still sell their votes. But I think now more than ever, young people are more awake. People are looking at the long term. People aren't as myopic as they've been over the years, because it's been going on for too long. It's been going on for too long. How long are you going to keep on coming and giving people that 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 on that day, and then that's what they have to put up with for the next 4 years, maybe even 8 years? So I think we've gone beyond that. Now more than ever, we keep on hammering that information, to as many ears as can listen. Do not, and for whoever might be watching me right now, I beg you, with all I have, do not sell your votes in these coming elections, because at the end of the day, that little amount of money that you're collecting will not go anywhere.
And that's a very important message, and I hope the people out there are listening. But you mentioned dodgy politicians. What about the issue of rigging, which has plagued previous elections in the past? Obviously, in 2023, the voting process is going to be more digitized. Does that give you confidence that it'll be more difficult for corrupt officials and dodgy candidates to manipulate election results?
It would appear so, definitely. I think digitization of these elections is definitely a step in the right direction. Hopefully that would mitigate, hopefully that would limit to what extent rigging can take place. Another thing that I think would limit to what extent rigging can take place is if people really and truly come out in numbers. On that day, when you vote, you stay, you stand, make sure those votes are counted in your presence. Be determined to protect your votes at all cost. I think that's the energy that we have now. Like you mentioned earlier on, just before we started discussing, there's a new energy that we have been breeding, especially since the EndSARS protests. That energy has continued. It has spiraled into something else. There is a movement right now that's going on. If you like, you can call it a revolution. It just isn't being done by any violent means. But everyone is more alert now. Everyone wants to do everything within their power to change the status quo. And I think that, that's another thing that we can do to mitigate rigging that might take place. Be determined to go out there and vote, and be determined to protect our votes by all costs.
I would imagine also that part of what you're doing as well is also voter education, and the fact that they need to be able to pick who they think are the best candidates to deliver whatever they want the candidates to deliver for them, which obviously is a better country. So let's turn to the candidates, Falls. Which of the front runners has made the most impact on you, and which of them are you likely to support?
I knew we were going to arrive at this question eventually, one way or the other. However, at this very moment, I cannot say, okay, this is my candidate or that is my candidate. What I can say for sure is I've always kind of vocalized that I'm in no way in support of the same old system that has brought about this rot. So anyone that's coming from this same system that has brought about this rot knows for sure I'm not going to vote for them. Everyone knows that. I've always said that. I think it's important for people to look to candidates, look at the people rather than the parties. Now, if you look at the people that are the front runners now, who has a proven track record of doing something for the people, who has a proven track record of selflessness, of honesty, of transparency, of, wanting the best for everyone. I think these are the things that people should look out for, to put in the simplest terms. You can't expect that somebody that has been in this same rotten system all these years will suddenly overnight change. It's not going to happen. If people look to the individuals, because the political parties that we have and that we've had in this country have never stood for any form of ideology, as opposed to what it should be. Political parties are meant to be run on ideology. But if you ask, whether it's APC or PDP or whatever, if you ask even the front runners right now, what is the ideology of your political party? I'm sure they don't know what to say to you. They've been run like clubs. They're switching, they're jumping from one to the other. That's why definitely I personally, like I said, would never vote for anyone that has been in the same rotten system. That's my own personal opinion.
Yes, well, that's a good point. The fact, of course, is that most of them, certainly the front runners, have all been part of the system, although, as you correctly pointed out, they participated in it in different ways. But looking beyond the election, Fowles, there are, of course, tens of millions of people in this country under the age of 33. They've got quite a steep hill to climb up, don't they? They'll get a country that's essentially broken, and they have to take it and walk with it, because it's not going to be, or it's not being handed over to them in a good state, is it?
Yeah, it's not. It's terribly sad. It's terribly sad. When I think about the people that are coming, when I think about the young generation and what the future holds for us, it's sad to see that this is what we're inheriting from our fathers. I say to my dad all the time, I say it's their fault. Our parents' generation, I say it's their fault. I say that they allowed this to happen because I feel like for a very long time, the energy that Nigeria has had has been one of just being so docile, just being so lackadaisical to all the mess that has been going on. Ever since I've known, ever since I was conscious of what was happening around me, Nigeria has been a mess. This next month, I'm going to be 32. Nigeria is still a mess. It's really sad for the people that are coming, but I like that I'm seeing optimism. I like that I'm seeing positive energy from the younger ones, and I hope that this continues, because it's the only thing that can bring us out of this rot.
Well, quite. And in fairness to your father, if there were as many Nigerians as himself who stood up for truth and justice. I mean, you're right in the sense that it's clearly his generation, but if there were that many who fought against injustice like he has and stood for the truth,
Truly,
then perhaps Nigeria wouldn't be in the state that it is.
Said a whole lot. He talk almost everybody mind. You know, as much as you are a youth and you did this country fast, don't talk everything. You know, there is little or nothing where these guys we do. They can only do their little best. The rest they our hand. I won't beg the youth. I beg. We could not just register, no collect our card. And we could not just collect our card, no come out to vote. Let us come out and exercise our civic responsibility. Let us come out to cast our vote. Let us come out to do the needful. I beg you. I beg you.